Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. You might hear the sweet, sweet sound of BMWs roaring through the track this evening. This is Can-Am SimSport's final round of the DTM Championship, and what a championship it has been. Take a look here. Trackside. At your championship leader, it's going to take quite a run tonight to dethrone Nikita. Currently sitting first in the championship with 844 points. That is Nikita here. Dropping a little further back, we've got Heel Toe Hero sitting second in the championship with 783 points. Now, folks, this is where the championship gets interesting, because Ian McClure, a.k.a. Heel Toe Hero, sitting at 783 points in the championship, just 5 points behind. 5 points behind is your boy Ben Grabo with 778 points. That rounds out your podium positions, but the closeness doesn't end there. Again, these are two-race format evenings. So, Joe Dirt sitting in P4, where he is right there, with 745 points. P5 is none other than the leader of this shindig, Tactical Nuclear Pingu, sitting at 741 points. Mark Shine, who it's my obscure hi-fi here, Currently sitting 6th in the championship with 735 points. Joshua Colbreth, a.k.a. second place Merchant, P7 in the championship with 684 points. I'm sorry, 584 points. Nope, 680 points. I was right. I got the two lines mixed up. Behind him is Something Fierce with 584 points. There's where the 4 came from. In P8, Waylon Crace will take P9, 519 points. And Dave Coors is off in the grass at the moment, currently sitting P10, 508 points. So there's still some opportunity for some movement, but folks, P2 in the championship, very hotly contested between Ben Grabo and Heel-Toe Hero. Ben Grabo's still in the pits. Heel-Toe also in the pits. He was out on a flyer a moment ago. This is warm-up. As usual, 10 minutes here in the practice session, followed by a brief 5-minute qualifying. 5-minute qualifying, private, for the drivers. This will be a very interesting finale. We're here at the Nurburgring this evening. Here in Germany, it doesn't get much more German than this. Word around the street is bratwursts and Oktoberfests were served trackside this evening in the concession stands. So we're taking brilliantly German engineering to a German track here in the Nurburgring Sprint Circuit. Second place Merchant currently topping the charts with a 128.098. But we want to watch Heel-Toe Hero and Ben Grabo, in fact, just ahead of him on track. These two very close in the championship, and will surely have championship finals on their minds this evening as we race around the iconic Nürburgring. True testament to automotive endurance in the scene of motorsports. Very challenging circuit. We seem to have a local yellow. I believe these local yellows are people going off track limits there. Not actually always an incident. Same here. I imagine somebody clipped the edge of the track limits there. Bear with me here for just a moment. Trying to get my ducks in a row. Well, I was going to try to identify all these turns, but that simply will not happen because they are a bit strange as we've got a car around. I believe that was Waylon Crace back in the back of the field here. But we're going to ride on board Heel-Toe Hero as he crosses the line. Start another lap. Hoping for a great result, a little bit wide there, and he will abort the run, so we jump ahead to Obscure Hi-Fi. Nice and smooth up through this very challenging and tricky turn right here. The car just very easy to get off balance. And here is where the sprint circuit changes from the regular GP circuit. earlier turn in. Don't get quite the fast run down into the downhill right-hand hairpin. Ooh, a little early on the throttle, and Hi-Fi is around. That is collision for Hi-Fi. We'll finish the lap with our championship leader, Nikita. Track conditions are supposedly a little damp right now. No rain in the forecast for tonight's qualifying or feature event, but a little bit of rain must have fallen prior to our jumping onto the track this evening. This car's struggling a little bit on damp track. We've got local yellow signs up here in the chicane. Very challenging chicane here. A lot of time to be made or lost there, as I believe we see Waylon Crace off in the sand back behind once again. Through the final hairpin. I'm sorry, that's not much of a hairpin. And across the line. No time gained for Nikita. Folks, track limit's very challenging here. Very hard to find the acceptable limit without going over it. Barring any sort of massively unfortunate incidents this evening, there's a very good chance this will be your championship winner. And a deserved one as well. Once Nikita began to shake the early season rust off, got through some turmoil, some bumpy starts, missing points with DNFs or incidents that cost him significant track position. Dropped back, decided to clear his head and come back with a vengeance. It's about 2 rounds ago and has since annihilated the field in commanding fashion. Had a bit of a challenge last week, but managed to piece everything together, and he'll cross the line, completing his practice session and returning to the box. In your practice session, Obscure Hi-Fi tops the charts with a 27.897, Joe Dirt with a 27.999, Nikita with a 28.046, uncharacteristically not dominating the field. Second place Merchant looking to improve over his 28.098. He will have enough time to finish this lap, and Spiky Cactus runs out the top 5 in practice with a 28.717. And Merchant goes around and into the walls. We've now seen 2 cars, 2 talented drivers go off in that very corner. We're hoping track conditions dry up for qualifying and race day. And we will hopefully see less incident there. Still hear somebody out there. This is CB crossing the line. Doesn't seem to be any time gained for CB. So that is the practice session done and dusted. So we get ready to dive into our 5-minute qualifying session, and it does not seem to be private. And it seems to be raining. Now, I, as a broadcaster, am thrilled that it's not private, but I have a feeling the rest of the field may disagree with me. Heel Toe Hero will be the first out of pit lane. Going to work to try to get these wet tires up to temperature. A very tricky track in dry conditions. When you add the wet weather, it gets very tricky, but Heel Toe Hero really looking for a good result tonight as he aborts the run and returns to the box. We'll follow Dave C around for his first out lap. As I was saying, though, folks, rain here at the Nurburgring, not easy to deal with. It is a very tricky thing This will definitely have drivers questioning whether or not we can expect rain in the actual event. But we'll shake up qualifying for sure. Having all this moisture on the track. Starting to find some temperature in the tires. Finding a little bit of a grip. Really not too terribly conservative on the throttle there. Very early on the brakes, as one might expect in wet conditions. But so far, Dave C. really impressively locking down his outlap and is about to cross the line for his first timed lap. We saw CB just behind. A little bit of a wiggle coming out of the hairpins or the chicane. And now, Dave C. on his first timed lap for the DTM Championship Series finale. What does Dave have in the bag for his first qualifying lap? Sturhaus stopped on the back of the track there. Very smooth inputs. And now we'll ride on board. Sounds like we've got some engine bugs. Even with the engine bugs, though, if you listen close, you can hear kind of that rolling onto the throttle, just trying to find the edge of grip, find the edge of the limit, and stay a half a tick inside of that. Dave C. doing a very good job keeping the car the way he likes it, going fast, going where it needs to go. And now comes up into the final complex at the 150 board, lifting and braking. Through the chicane, nice wide exit. Brave to use the painted curbs here at the Nurburgring in the rain, but he will round the final corner. Head down the front straight. What does Dave C. have for his first lap? .41.563. Will be Obscure Hi-Fi behind, crossing the line with a 39.901. Behind him, we have Soupy crossing the line, and a train of them now. I am going to jump to Spiky Cactus, who will cross the line at the end of that train and bring us to the top with a 39.130. Heel Toe Hero once again trying to find impressive pace tonight. Will cross the line, topping the leaderboards with a 38.802. Nikita has returned to the box. We now jump to Sturhaus. Sturhaus crosses the line, no positive time. But, folks, Nikita jumped to the box after crossing the line with a 38.710. Nikita will currently take the field to green unless Ben Grabo can dethrone him. Not enough from Ben. 39.860 will be his qualifying effort there. He will have enough time to run one more lap. Something Fierce hoping to post a clean lap here. And he does so with a 41.104. Tactical Nuclear Pingu seems to have aborted his lap. And we'll start from the back of the field. We jump back ahead to Dave C., who we started this journey with. See if he can find any time in the back of that machine. Dave C. crosses the line with a 41.096, enough to bump him a position, and Obscure Hi-Fi responds with a 39.066 up to P3. Soupy crosses the line. I'm sorry, I keep getting faked out by the line. Soupy will cross the line. No time gained for Soup. Spiky Cactus next to respond. No time gained for Cactus. Heel Toe Hero trying to knock Cactus down a peg and start beside the championship leader. And he will start beside him while leading the field to green. Nikita aborting the run, leaving Sturhaus out here, crossing the line in P9 with a 41.345. And Ben Grabo, last attempt to try and climb up the leaderboard from 6th. Where did he land? Ben Grabo with P4, bumping everybody down with a 38.819. Heel Toe Hero will lead the field to green on a beautiful sun-setting Nurburgring. It's currently 4 p.m. local time. And it's going to get dicey, folks. This camera angle does not allow me to see everybody. We will watch the best we can. Remember, folks, the closest fight in the championship right now, 5 points separates Heel Toe Hero from Ben Grabo. Heel Toe currently leading the championship between the two of them, but only by 5 points. Ben looking for a good finish tonight to round out the championship and come home P2. And as pointed out earlier, Nikita currently has the championship kind of locked down. Mathematically still possible for him not to take this home, but very improbable. He'd have to have a very, very bad night. And Nikita has been on a bit of a roll lately. Wouldn't expect to see any major mistakes from this driver. As we're about to go green. This is not the error that we like to see, sinking. It's always frightening. And we're off. Nikita seemed to have a much better launch. So we see him fan out in the back, 3 wide. Nikita, the brilliant start, trapping Heel Toe on the outside, but Cactus going way wide and overtaking everybody from back in P4. Cactus up to the lead of this race. Heel Toe Hero nipping at the heels of Nikita, our championship leader. Merchant now battling with Obscure Hi-Fi. This is the battle for P6. They're side by side into turn 4. Ended up single file. Dave C makes a beautiful pass over Sturhaus back a little further back. So we now start to fan out just a little bit into single file. Everybody calming down, settling in. Begin to round the final complex of corners much later on the brakes than we saw in qualifying. Cactus will lead the first lap of this race with a beautiful overtake right from the drop of the green. Nikita hanging back just about 2/10. Looks like we've got a move getting set up back in the back. Joe Dirt and Tarka side by side. Who will yield first? Joe Dirt always brave on the brakes. Tarka not giving in quite as easy this time, though. Late apex from Joe Dirt, and that sees him up to P12. Spiky Cactus still leading Nikita, who leads Heel Toe Hero, but Ben Grabo now right where he wants to be, looking at his opponent in the championship. He just has to finish ahead of Ian in both races. It's the easy way to look at this, and he will have the championship tied up between the two of them. Cactus, big weave coming down the back stretch into a nice wide exit. A little bit of grass and a little bit of sand clipped from Nikita, but Nikita really, really trying to set something up here. You gather something is brewing in the number 98 machine, just trying to find the opportunity to strike. But Cactus, we've seen him before, has some fantastic pace. And he's really showing some brilliant consistency, brilliant defense against your championship leader. As it seems like Joe Dirt, side by side once again. Big lunge into turn one. Joe Dirt up to P10. Massive drive from this guy as he continues to charge through the field. Cactus opening a gap over Nikita. But the field behind Nikita is anything but diverse, as now Nikita's making a lunge on the outside. They go side by side. Nikita gets off and on onto the off line. Picked up a little bit of debris on the tires, and that's going to slow him down just a little bit. Spiky Cactus maintaining his cool and keeping himself ahead. Brilliant attack from Nikita, but it was not enough to shake your current race leader, who continues to control the field. As we watch Nikita prepare to bring us back around for our fourth lap of competition. Or I'm sorry, not Nikita, Spiky Cactus. Nikita making a peek on the inside, but deciding against it. Beautiful exit out of the corner from all the drivers in the top five. And Ian McClure starting to face some pressure from Ben Grabo behind. Ben with a move we've seen from Joe Dirt several times. Deep onto the brakes, but not enough, and he's going to get trapped now between him and second place Merchant. Heads up driving for Merchant there, trying to keep himself out of trouble, as I believe we just see in the background Waylon Crace. Nope, that was not Waylon Crace. I believe that was somebody else. It's deep on the brakes. Merchant nearly getting collected in a late braking attempt from Ben Grabo there, but managed to keep himself straight, pointed the right way, and continues on. We've kind of got a couple different groups here, as it looks like there may have been an incident between Shadow Puck and Tarka, both drivers involved in a local yellow back there in turn 4. Second place Merchant now trying to make the move happen on Ben Grabo. Ben really going to try to put up a defense here. Does not want to lose sight of his championship rival. Merchant thinking better of the attack and bowing out of it this time, but making sure Ben knows he's there. Some great driving from these top 6 or 7 cars. Joe Dirt popping into frame there, and just behind him, Stur Haas. Brilliant overtake is now Merchant trying to work the outside lane on the entry to 1. Washes him a little bit wide, loses some ground, but no track position lost, and he's going to be quick to recover the tenths of the seconds lost. And we'll start to prep for another attack, as now Ben Grabo trying to get something done on Ian McClure, but it's not working, and he's facing pressure now from second place Merchant, who's trying to battle Ben for 4th. We've got a 3-way battle for the final step on the podium in tonight's sprint race. Merchant just doing everything he can to try to get around. And Ben trying everything he can to get around. Cactus now starting to see the wiggle of the nose from Nikita behind. Nikita thinking championship. just trying to keep it clean. If he can get around safe and smooth, he'll do it, but does not want to forfeit the championship, as now have a bit of a drag race going into the final corner before Nikita bowed out. But he had a great run out of the final corner, and I think we're going to see a couple different cars pop to try to make a pass, firing down into turn 1 as they start to try to break slipstream. Spiky Cactus deep on the inside defensive lane. Nikita trying to answer, and he will. Cactus too late on the brakes and overshoots the apex. That is going to be Nikita up to P1. Heel Toe will follow suit, and Cactus falls back down to P3 after a late braking defense, but works to try to recuperate the lost ground. Cannot get his way around Heel Toe Hero, though. Ian McClure really doing a good job of putting up the block, but he's going to be side-by-side into turn 6. Just getting hung out on the high line, and now Ben Grabo looking to find his way through. Cactus trying to drop back and regroup, find a rhythm, find a lane, find a racing line and stick with it, and then start to recuperate, figure out what he's doing. Tons of pressure from the car behind, though, as Ben Grabo now goes side by side into one of the deepest and most incredibly treacherous braking zones of the track. Beautiful move from Ben Grabo into the chicane, up past Spiky Cactus, and now fighting for P2. His championship rival is his next target. Spiky Cactus starting to drop like a rock. Facing pressure now from Obscure Hi-Fi. One mistake, folks. That's all it took. One mistake to go from first to fourth with the threat of fifth right in your rearview mirror. Cactus likely behind the visor, trying to calm down and recollect himself and start to try and recover some lost ground. Brilliant defensive line we see from Ben Grabo there. Nice wide exit, trying to use all the track, but also hold as much track as he can. Make the car a lot wider than it truly is. Doing a good job of holding off Cactus. Who before long, I believe, will start facing pressure from Obscure Hi-Fi. And now Nikita beginning to open the gap on the leaders, as we are so used to seeing. Bit of a midfield rumble here as Dave C on the chase for Tactical Nuclear Pingu. Deep on the brakes into turn 1. Both drivers pretty equal there onto the entry of turn 1, but a much better exit from Dave C as he tries to chase down the event organizer. Really getting some good runs on the corner exits over Pingu. Getting very brave on the brakes as well. And Pingu goes around. Dave C will take the position. That seems to be self-inflicted. I think he was just a little bit more aggressive on the exit with the throttle than he would have liked to have been. And that's all it took. P10 to P13, folks. Can happen in an instant. Spiky Cactus still trying to chase down Ben Grabo, who continues to try to chase down Ian McClure, but I don't know if he's going to get him down. The gap is kind of stabilized right there at that half a second window. Oh, we might see a move yet. Ben Grabo getting very bold on the brakes on the entry to turn 1. Is it going to be enough to catch his championship rival? Again, folks, we've got the championship in mind. Ben does not have to win this race. He just has to finish better than Ian. Now, the other thing you want to consider, half points against the feature event. So if he doesn't finish with enough of a buffer ahead of Ian McClure, as long as he finishes well ahead of him in the main event, that should be enough. But he's got to have the buffer. And Nikita. What a drive from Nikita. Patient. Calm. Collected. Few small mistakes, but nothing to cost him enough time to lose ground. On the former race leader, Spiky Cactus, who now sits P4 after a very unfortunate late-braking attempt to protect the lead. It's all Nikita needed. It's all he wanted to see. CB now trying to chase down Dave C, and I see that second place Merchant has fallen down the running order. Currently sitting P11. We know he's faster than P11. He was running in the top 5 just a few moments ago. Must have seen an incident. No damage that I can see on the car, so potentially a rather minor incident. Now, beautiful on the brakes to the entry of the chicane. Second place Merchant gets around squeaky clean for 10th place. Now on the hunt for Dave C. The distance between Nikita and Heel Toe Hero, the gap closed significantly. I think Nikita made a mistake, and Ian McClure almost was there to capitalize, and now Ben Grabo all over the tailpipe of Ian McClure with a late break to the outside. He's going to go wide. That move didn't work when he defended, and it doesn't seem to have helped him here on the attack, as now he falls back and lost a lot of ground for P2. But he's going to try to regroup. There's still 3 laps of racing left to go. Can he get a good run out of the chicane? Nikita's slow onto the entrance of the chicane. Everybody stacking up an accordion in. We round the final corner. Grabo looking for a good run on the exit. Don't think he's going to have it, though. No better than the guys ahead of him, at least. And what we're going to start to see are some acts of desperation. How can I get ahead? The clock is ticking away. Laps are falling further and further off the leaderboard. What can I do to get ahead of the car in front of me? Hope isn't a strategy. Luck isn't a strategy. He has to make the spot open. He has to find the way to get around Just watching these guys battle, I gather he has the faster car. It's just a matter of finding the opportunity to get around, getting the right run out of the right corner. We just might see an attack into the chicane. Nope, not the run he wanted, but look at the gap, folks. It's very close now. If he can maintain decent runs out of all these corners coming up, we just might see something on the straightaway. Ben Grabo very early on the throttle. That seemed to have a lot more run behind it, a lot more steam behind that exit. Two laps remain on the back bumper of Heel Toe Hero, his championship rival. He will be doing everything he can to get around. As the clock begins to continue ticking away. Very nice run out of the corner. So we return trackside to watch the finale of this race. What does Ben Grabo have for the man ahead of him? Not a good exit on the final corner. The gap opens even more. Ian just has to hold him off a few laps longer, a few moments longer. Precisely another minute and 20 seconds or so. And not make any mistakes. As Nikita goes wide. No, he doesn't. That wasn't Nikita. That was somebody else. Because they have the same livery. Ben Grabo now really trying to make something happen on McClure. Nice run out of the turn and all over the back bumper of the numbers. Is that the 27 machine? I'm not sure. Either way, Ben Grabo is there. 21 machine, making sure that McClure knows it as he dives to the inside of the chicane, thinks better of it, doesn't want to take both drivers out again. Championship on the mind. You can't finish ahead of your opponent in the next race. You can't finish ahead of your opponent in this race if you crash out. Opts to give in this race. Heel Toe Hero will bring P2 home in the sprint. Ben Grabo P3, Spiky Cactus P4, and Obscure Hi-Fi will take you to P5. From Hi-Fi, Joe Dirt P6, Soupy in 7th, second place Merchant 8th, Dave C and Something Fierce will take us to the top 10. CB, Wayland Craze, Tactical Nuclear Pingu after an unfortunate spin. Shadowpuck and Tarka will be P15, and Sturhaas rounds out our 16-car field this evening for the sprint race. However, the main event is still on its way. We've got even more racing, folks. Not sure what we're witnessing there, other than an engine blowing contest. What a race that was. Nikita bringing home first in the sprint race. Plenty more action to go in the next event. Twice the amount of points on the line as we had in this event. What does that mean? Well, it means that if Ben Grabo finishes better enough than Ian McClure, that he could see the championship fall his way. Now, looks like we are into the intermission, so I will be right back after this short break. I'm going to use the restroom, go refill my water, and get ready for the finale race of the DTM Championship here at Can-Am SimSport. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to the DTM Championship for Can-Am SimSport. For just tuning in, you missed our sprint race. So we get ready to dive into the feature event. Plenty of racing left to go. As we await the session to return to qualifying. Hope you all have enjoyed this championship, folks. I know I have. It has been loads of fun to watch these guys rip around, various circuits and tracks around the country. These guys are really a class act group of drivers, and it has been a pleasure providing commentary for these folks. As we now watch the clock tick away into our final round of racing here in a DTM championship. 6 rounds, 12 races. This being the 12th. Everybody at the front of the field very strong tonight. Spiky Cactus showing some great pace there a moment ago. The beginning of the race, as we have sadly returned to private qualifying. I liked having it all open because I could see where everybody was on track. But unfortunately, we don't have that such liberty here, as Joe Dirt will be the first to exit pit lane. For an outlap, drivers probably thanking their gods for the dry weather in qualifying now. So we had torrential rain in the initial feature race qualifying. I'm sure drivers are thanking their lucky stars they don't have to deal with that here. Excuse me. Joe Dirt doing a great job just keeping the car smooth. This is an outlap. So now pushing too hard, just hard enough to get the tires and the brakes up to temp. And get the car ready for what he hopes to be a pole position lap. Joe Dirt did show some pretty good pace in our last round. Last race. Kind of fell down and climbed back up and fell down and climbed back up. But the green flag flies for Joe Dirt as he begins his first timed lap for tonight's feature event. Drivers will likely only have time to get 2 laps in. 3 if they're absolutely lucky, but you can see a little bit of the slip angle now as these guys really pushing the cars as hard as they can. Joe Dirt with a little bit of an oversteer out of some of these corners. Trying to maximize every ounce of power under the hood. About halfway through Sector 2 here. We'll get through the kink and approach the entry to Sector 3 for his first flying lap. Beautiful entry and fast exit from Joe Dirt 9. Crossing the line with a 28-121, and he returns to box. Unsure as to why, because he will not get another run. The time has expired. for him to get another lap. Spiky Cactus up to P2, Hi-Fi P3. We want to watch this fella right here. Where does Nikita come around as Waylon Cray sits P5 with a 30.647. Ben Grabo jumps to the top of the charts with a 27.825. Times start tumbling into the pylon, but we want to see where our championship leader lands. And it is no time posted so far for Nikita. Heel Toe Hero now looking to answer Grabo's 27.825. Needs to answer it well. These two will be bringing the championship fight to the checkered flag of the feature race. Around the final corner. Ian will get one more pass at the line. Just about as close as you can cut it. Ian with a 28.127, not going to be enough to topple Ben Grabo. Spiky Cactus trying to climb further up with an incredible start to race 1. Can he get further up in race 2? No time gained for Cactus. Merchant now out on track for his final lap. Currently half a tenth up, which would be enough to jump into 4th if he can maintain it. Bit of a slide, a lot of slip angle on the exit of the corner, but he's committed. Fast through the entry and exit of the final turn. Smooth on the exit. Just the right amount of curb and crosses the line. And that is P4 for second place Merchant with a 28.147. About 6/10. Exactly 6/10 or 6/100 to the good as we now get our first and last night race of this season. The sun has set. The sky has darkened, and we race off into the night for our final showdown of the series with quite an interesting championship fight on our hands. Ben Grabo currently trying to claw his way into P2 in the championship, trailing just a few points behind Heel Toe Hero, and guess who's starting in 3rd place directly behind Ben Grabo? Heel Toe Hero in P3, row 2, position 3. What a fight we're going to have on our hands off the line. Cannot wait to see this unfold. The race starts are always interesting, and Nikita not qualifying with a clean time in the last qualifying. I'm sorry, that doesn't mean he didn't qualify with the lead time. That means nobody's posted a time yet. I don't know if he qualified. This is uncharacteristic of your championship leader, but he may have figured, you know what? It's all but mine anyways, so let's have fun with the last race and see if we can race from the back to the front. The green light is out and the drivers are off. Ben Grabo with a great start. Doing a great job to cut down in front of Joe Dirt and cut off the traffic. Ian McClure wide on the entry to turn 1, and that's going to cost him some valuable time as he falls back down to P3 with second place Merchant hot on his heels trying to make a move for P4. I'm sorry, knock him down to P4. Merchant switches back to the inside of Heel Toe Hero. Doesn't get it done here, but Merchant is on the hunt. And Ben Grabo has fallen down behind Joe Dirt, who has proven to be very consistent this season and very fast. We know Joe is a contender, as Nikita started P15, already up to P13, and continues to rise the ranks. Second place Merchant now peeking onto the inside of Heel Toe Hero through the kink. Side by side and into the tight braking zone for the chicane. Who will be braver? It is Heel Toe Hero as they... I don't believe there's any contact between the two, but very tight racing there. Is now Heel Toe facing pressure from Obscure Hi-Fi behind, and Merchant does finally get the move around into P3. McClure just trying to hold his ground now and let the race come to him. Ben Grabo getting absolutely left by Joe Dirt, who's already opened the lead to a second. Makes you wonder if he was sandbagging in all of the practice and qualifying, because it seems he's got pace hand over fist. The number 23 machine is now second place Merchant chasing down Ben Grabo. But Ben not wanting to let that happen is now McClure really trying to push and nudge, make sure Merchant knows he's there. And this is exactly what Ben Grabo wants. These two racing each other hard, taking time out of each other's laps and opening the gap. Really what he wants to make sure he sees, though, is second place Merchant finish ahead. Continue to expand that buffer ever so slightly. But Ian McClure not falling off the wagon yet. Now Nikita, championship leader, started P15, up to P10, continues to work his way through the field. Now, with Dave C. firmly planted in his sights, little bit of a check, nothing crazy on the outside of the corner entry. As Waylon Crace goes very wide through the entry. Surprisingly, the game has not told him to yield position. Nikita now trying to get his window to P9. Side by side with P9, and he fires it into the corner. Nikita up to P9 and currently charging for your race leaders. Beautiful exit out of that corner there. Is Nikita now trying to take two spots in two corners. He's up to P8. Can he topple Waylon Crace and take P7 on the entry to the chicane? He cannot. Waylon Crace with a great defense and not given the opportunity to Nikita, who's now trapped back in P8 with a less than ideal run into the entry of the final corner, but a beautiful exit will set him up nicely for a drag race down the front straightaway. They cross the line. Nikita up to P7. Late on the brakes into turn one, late apex, and Waylon Crace goes around. Soupy and Crace have collided. It does seem that Soupy is trying to hold up and allow Waylon around. Great sportsmanship from these folks. It's what we love to see. Joe Dirt settling into about a second, 0.7, second, 0.5 gap over P2. And Ben Grabo now leading second place Merchant by a second and a half. Heel toe falling a little further back, but not facing any more pressure at the moment from behind. High fives there, but not in striking range just yet. Nikita, though, currently P6 or P7, chasing down P6, who happens to be Spiky Cactus, and doing everything he can to charge his way to the top 5 from 15th. Currently up 8 spots. He has got a ways to go to catch up to the front-running cars. This gap is ebbing and flowing right around a half a second as second-place Merchant seems to have lost a little bit of pace and is now facing pressure from Heel Toe Hero. Not enough to shake, though. Ian McClure. Nikita in the back, shaving this lap time or this time down significantly. Second place Merchant seems to have been involved in a very big incident. And I apologize, I literally yawned, and that must have been when that happened, because now second place Merchant goes from third to 6th, and we'll have to take a pit stop to repair a significant amount of aero damage. And this means Heel Toe Hero is up to P3. This is not what Ben Grabo wanted to see. He did want to see McClure get held up and cost himself a lot of time in the event that Ben has an issue, an incident, a bobble, a wiggle. He had a little bit of breathing room that he didn't have to worry about his competitor breathing down his neck, but he still enjoyed having a car there to pick the two of them. That opens up a gap that adds a little bit of an extra points deficit to the guy you're racing against and trying to overtake in the championship. But now, Ian McClure is free and clear sitting here in P3. But if Nikita has anything to say about it, things might be getting interesting here in just a few laps. Nikita closing the gap down to about 15 seconds. It ebbs and flows between 14.5 and 15. Point being, he's coming. And once he reaches the lead pack, it will not take him long to get to the rest of them. As now we've seen the gap as low as it's been, 13.2 seconds there for just a moment to the race leader. Not even the rest of the pack, just the race leader. Keep in mind, these times are relative to the race leader, not the car ahead. Makes him even closer to Spiky Cactus in P5. Dave C and CB having a bit of a battle here. Looking for an opportunity into turn 1. Not going to present itself too easily. And so he'll be patient and wait for the next opportunity. Apologize for my quietness, fighting being a little bit unwell, allergies and whatnot. And I'm also mega tired. But this race has got the adrenaline pumping. So now something fierce should be starting to take pressure from our event coordinator, Pingu. Trailing just behind Not been the greatest race day for Pingu. Really started to turn his championship around a little bit, but struggling to find his way back out of the top, or back into the top 10 tonight. We saw an incident in the last round that cost him significant track position and time. And now he's hanging right there outside the top 10 again. Definitely seems like he's got the pace over Something Fierce to get ahead. But there's still 20 laps of racing, folks. We're not done yet. A lot of racing left to go. As night falls here in Germany. Nikita is coming, folks. 13.5 seconds. Now we're ebbing and flowing between 13 and 14 seconds, not 14 and a half and 15 and a half. He's on a tear. And he is chasing down the group. We're beginning to approach the car in P9, just ahead of this battle, and if that begins to occur, we will have a three-way battle for ninth. Side by side, Soupy and Waylon Crace. Waylon Crace comes out on top in that instance. Second place Merchant with a deep dive on the inside. After his long repair stint, Merchant striking back with a vengeance. Beautifully done. And he'll now set his sights on the car ahead. Little ways to go, about 9 or 10 seconds. But Merchant is on a tear now. He can keep the car pointed the right way and out of the wall. Don't rule him out. Now Pingu really trying to make something happen here over Something Fierce. He's now in the top 10 thanks to what seems to have been an incident ahead. I'm not sure with whom, but now Pingu very late on the brakes into the chicane. Beautifully done on the attack over Something Fierce, and that is for P9. Nice pass from Pingu. These two once again exchanging blows, very close to one another on the scoring pylon. But not quite close enough to strike from CB. As he continues to try to work it over in the corners. Definitely very aggressive in the corners. I think Dave C's got the better run down the straights and on the exits, but I feel like CB might certainly have something better in the tank for the braking package. Using the slipstream, hopefully to advantage. Very late on the brakes there. Trying to find the opportunity, the advantage over his opponent. Excuse me. He's getting ready maybe to set up a move into turn one, but not seeming like it's panning out for him. Welcome to the chat, Sean Stewart, the man with a plan over at America's Racing League. What's going on, man? This gap has opened up, folks. Nikita seems to be slipping out of the rhythm a little bit. Still a hell of a drive from your championship leader. Charged up here from P15. But I don't know if he's going to get it done. Plenty of racing left to go. Very interesting to see what he's got. CB still on the heels of Dave Coors. Just checking in. Well, you picked a good race, man. DTM Championship finale. A lot of close little battles here. Dave C doing a great job keeping his head level, focusing forward, focusing on his race, not necessarily having to worry about everybody around him. Just doing a good job holding off the competition. But now we start to get a peek from CB with a big defensive maneuver there late from Dave C. But you gather that there's something in that number one machine that's just waiting to lunge in one of these corners. Second place Merchant still sitting in P13, trying to charge up the field and regain positions from the mistake made earlier this race. Sean says, love the DTM cars. I'll tell you, they're a blast to watch, man. Right on the edge of control, especially when you get these guys in the rain. Man. Everybody is all over the track, just frantically trying to keep the cars pointed forward and fight the slip. This gap's starting to open up a little bit, and let's just have a moment of applause for Joe Dirt here, folks. Got ahead early and has commanded the field. Bit of a bumpy race one. During the sprint race, kind of went up and down in the leaderboard. Climbed up to a decent position, then made a mistake and fell down. Climbed up to another decent position, had an incident and fell back down. He's done a great job tonight in race 2 of just getting ahead and staying ahead. That's where he wants to be. Maximize points. Don't get creative. Don't be a hero. Just drive the car smooth and clean. And he's done just that. The real interesting storyline coming into this race, though, is the storyline between Ben Grabo and Heel Toe Hero, just 5 points separating them before tonight's events. Heel Toe Hero finishing, I believe, P2 in the last race, and Ben Grabo in P3. They've effectively flipped. And I don't know if that will be enough for Ben to bring home P2 in the championship if Heel Toe does not get picked off by somebody else. But he's already opened the gap to Obscure Hi-Fi by about 3 seconds, 2.5 to 3 seconds. So the question is, where does the championship land for these drivers? Spiky Cactus trying to chase down P4, Obscure Hi-Fi. Little bit of room left yet to go. But Nikita is now coming for the drivers in P5. What we maybe have not noticed, folks, this gap is relative to the leader, and it has continued to ebb and flow between 13 and 15 seconds. But if you look at this gap, in about 8 laps, Nikita has chiseled that down from 9 seconds plus to 2. And he has not given up. Charging from the back of the field. P15 at the drop of the green. Up to P6. And hard charging for P7. You're right on board with your championship leader for a lap here around the Nurburgring Sprint Circuit. That there was a master class in smooth driving. Is Nikita now 1 second off of P5. If he can claim P5, that'll be 10 spots on the day gained from the drop of the green in this race. We've also got a race unfolding right here. Second place Merchant getting around Sturhaus. I don't know that there was much of a race there. I think he got around with ease, as he will now chase down Something Fierce just up ahead. Nikita, this is a guy to watch. Because once he reaches Spiky Cactus, folks, he's passed cars that he's been faster than consistently this season. And truthfully, he's just outright decimated everybody on sheer pace. But the guys he's gotten past so far between 15th and 6th haven't really been the same caliber of defense that he's seen from these guys that are currently sitting in the top 5. Spiky Cactus, very good at making that car as wide as the track surface. And that is something that Nikita may not be ready for when the time comes to pounce. As we cross the line, we'll be at 17 laps in the books. 11 laps to go. But the move is imminent, folks. It's coming. You can start to see him trying to set it up now. Brilliant entries. Brilliant exits. The gap now just under a second. Continuing to close. Very late on the brakes from Nikita. Into turn 6. Cactus weaving, trying to break the draft, trying to keep every ounce of track under his control. Nikita trying to find the opportunity to get around. Cactus, surely with crew chief in his ear, talking about the gap behind, hearing a continual closure to that gap. As Nikita rounds the final corner. Pretty nice run on the exit, but I think Cactus had just as good of a run. And folks, that's Obscure Hi-Fi just ahead of Spiky Cactus. Not only has Nikita caught up to 5th, he's caught up to 4th. And there's plenty of racing left, folks. 10 laps to go. 15 minutes or so, I'd say. Plenty of opportunity for Nikita to continue to carve through the top 10 if he can get around Spiky Cactus. Doesn't get it done there. But the attack is coming. The attack is here. He is pushing, trying to get around, but Cactus having none of it. Trying to force a mistake from Nikita, as we have had a retirement. I believe that was Soupy. But Cactus having a very smooth, very clean drive. Brilliant run from the exit of the final corner out of Nikita. Does he make a move? Cactus preemptively trying to defend, but late on the brakes. Late apex from Nikita will put him nearly side by side with Spiky Cactus, but not enough to complete it. We now filter through the next complex of corners and watch as Nikita tries to set something else up and crawl into the top 5 from P15, the start of tonight's event. The lap counter is ticking though, folks. Time is running out, and the race leaders are continuing to drive away. He needs to get around these two. He just can't find the opportunity. An amazingly well-placed defense at every corner from Spiky Cactus in P5. Doing a good job of maintaining that gap, but also not losing sight of the car ahead in Obscure Hi-Fi. But Nikita very close on the entry to the chicane. A gap opened a little bit there on the exit. Nice run on the corner. A little bit of grass clipped from Spiky Cactus, and that might be enough to allow Nikita to make some sort of lunge here into the first turn. But Nikita very early on the brakes. Deep onto the apex. Just can't find the opportunity. He cannot find the window to get by. Spiky Cactus doing a good job of holding off the championship leader back in P6. So Nikita tries for a wide entry, but it doesn't work out. All over the road is your championship leader, trying to find every opportunity to get around. Just struggling to find the opportunity. I think Nikita has a lot of confidence though on the brakes, folks. I don't think he's afraid to try and outbrake his competition, as that is a car slowly on the edge of the track. Who was that? It looks like it was Tarka. P14, that was a lapped car. As the fight continues to rage on for essentially P4, with a beautiful run out of turn 1 from Nikita. Dashed, though, on the entry to 2 from Spiky Cactus. What great driving from both drivers. Now Hi-Fi beginning to face pressure from the battle behind. Also a driver not wanting to give up a spot because this is for position. A three-way battle for fourth. But Nikita not finding the opportunity to get around. And with another car there ahead, it could be very challenging to make a late lunge into the corner because you risk damaging yourself and the car ahead of the car you're trying to pass. Beautifully clean run out of the exit to the hairpin or the chicanes. This is the closest he's been on the entry to the final corner in a good long while. Substantial run on the exit of the corner. Do we see a lunge? Going into turn one, he pops to the outside early on the brakes. Squaring the corner off. Doesn't get it done. You can tell that's where he wants to get this pass completed. He wants to have it in by turn one. He just can't find the confidence in the brakes or the car to get there. Very late on the brakes there and to the outside. We've seen that move pan out several times. It's not worked just yet, but it must work for Nikita in the right scenario because he continues to try and outbrake the opponent there up on the outside lane. It is properly dark now here in Germany. Popping to the inside of the chicane. The outside of the chicane, I apologize. Trying to switch back using the curbs, and he will be side by side with Spiky Cactus going through the final corner. Who gets the better run out of the corner? It will be Nikita, and it will be a drag race down the front straightaway. Who will brake earlier going into turn one? Nikita currently with the advantageous line, hugging that middle lane and doing a great job holding Cactus off. And that is Nikita up to P5. But how about the defensive efforts from Spiky Cactus? Absolute incredible effort put up by the driver of the 75 machine, holding off your championship leader for several laps and not giving him the opportunity to get by. And now Nikita begins to try to chase down Obscure Hi-Fi. The goal is simple, P4 or bust. As I believe we've had another retirement, it seems we're down 3 cars from where we started in the previous event. And unlike most of the races this season, folks, the field is kind of spread out a little bit. We're looking at mostly the most exciting relative time on the field right now, namely because Nikita wastes no time getting up to somebody ahead of him. With 4 laps of competition remaining, Nikita now putting the pressure on Obscure Hi-Fi, who I'm sure is feeling it. So I believe that's the lapped car of CB ahead of them. I was mistaken. That was the lapped car of Shadow Puck 99 because there's only a handful of liveries these cars have. Can never tell which one's which. Nice run on the exit from Nikita. Does he try to make a move on the entry to 1? I think he does. He's setting it up. Sticks his nose into that inside middle lane. Noses ahead of Obscure Hi-Fi. Hi-Fi switches back but loses a lot of momentum, snapping back to the right, and that will be P4 for Nikita. I don't think he can close a 5-second deficit in 4.5 laps, or 3.5 laps, whatever you want to call it. But man, up 11 spots from the start. Hell of a drive. And proving to us why he deserves the top step on the championship podium this season. Showing everybody on the field how it's done. Nikita will now begin to chase down Ian McClure in P3. But I just don't think that's going to happen. Speaking of unofficial results not counted, this driver is sitting P2 in the championship and could potentially finish P2 in the championship even once the results from tonight's event are posted. And what a drive from Joe Dirt. You know, early we thought maybe he was maintaining the gap for some reason. That gap kind of lingered between 1.5, 1.7 seconds. But now he's just decided to say, you know what, screw it. I'm going. Open the gap to 4.8 seconds. This is the level of dominance that we would expect out of a driver like Nikita. Joe Dirt not having the most consistent season this season. He's consistently found some pace at every track we've been at, but his consistency in terms of race pace, race finish, race incidents, has been wildly spread. But tonight he said, you know what, I'm digging deep. I'm going to just go for it. You wonder if he's almost in that flow state of mind where everything else just turns to a blur. And he drives the car, feels the track. I don't know, folks. Awful philosophical, but this is a great drive from Joe Dirt 9 in the number 23 BMW. Ben Grabo also in the number 23 BMW, answering the call to the best of his ability. Tried to put a couple cars between him and his championship rival in the feature event, but it just wasn't enough. And I don't know that winning this race, you do get more points. It's double points. But I don't have the scoring right in front of me. I'm very interested to see where these two finish in the championship. If I'm Ben Grabo, I want more of a buffer. I want more than one feature race win to differentiate us, especially when he is the car finishing third. You know, you don't open a big points deficit if the guy behind you gains nearly the same number of points. So if I'm Ben Grabo, I'm really hoping and praying for something to go my way when the final scoring card lands tonight and determines the championship outcome. Joe Dirt has crossed the start-finish line and will begin taking the field to the white flag. We'll ride on board with your race winner in dominant fashion, I should add. Joe Dirt, we haven't seen up front and in the lead a whole lot this season. Largely has been a contender for podium positions, but like we just talked about, not had the consistency to bring those results home. Oftentimes getting roped into some mid-race incidents or, self-inflicted issues. Joe Dirt's always had front of the field pace, but has just not always seemed to be able to put it together. But tonight, he found something, folks. He's found some pace. And begins to round the final corner of the final lap of the CASS DTM Championship. 6-round banger. The lights are flashing. Joe Dirt takes the checkered flag. And that will be the close to our DTM Championship. Off and into the gravel trap as celebration. Ben Grabo will join him. And Nikita, your DTM champion, all the engines are going to blow up tonight as people cross the line. Doing donuts. Spinning the cars. Wrecking into each other, wrecking into walls. Excuse me. What a great drive that was from all of the drivers that partook. The CB now crossing the line. Pingu will cross the line P9th. Second place Merchant P10. Not the result he wanted to see. Definitely had more speed in him. Stur Haas will bring out 11th place, and Something Fierce closes us out in 12th place. Shadow Puck rounds the field out in 13th. He crossed a little earlier as he was further down the lap. What an incredible drive, folks. Massively impressed with the racecraft, the patience, the sportsmanship on display here at Can-Am SimSports. I mean, you cannot ask for more than that. Truly spectacular. Enjoyed every ounce of that. Hopefully my schedule works out in a way that allows me to do that for them again, because that was buckets of fun. And I thank everybody at Can-Am SimSport for having me. Hope you guys have enjoyed the commentary. I've really enjoyed putting these broadcasts on for you. It's been a lot of fun. And I can't wait to see what else you guys have down the pipeline. If I'm available, I'd love to do something for you all. So keep me in the loop. But for the CASS guys, that's going to be where the CASS portion of the broadcast ends. I'm just going to go through my PSAs before getting out of tonight's stream. Tomorrow, I am playing Fallout 76. The new season drops tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow morning. And I would love to get in there and and try it out, see if I love it, see if I hate it. Following that, Wednesday will be RV There Yet. Hopefully we can continue to progress through where we left off in RV There Yet with me, John, Nate, and Gandhi. Thursday, as usual, we will be off. Friday, we'll be doing Sea of Thieves. I believe the Ashen Garrison's launched this week, so I'm going to try to be well-rested so we can really push through those. And then Saturday, provided I don't stay up till the ass crack of dawn on Friday, Saturday we'll do Coffee and Call of the Wild in the morning. And then I'll be off for about a week, so I look forward to seeing everybody again this week. I'll be back tomorrow night. Hope you guys enjoyed tonight's broadcast. Once again, to everybody at the CASS team, thank you so much for letting me do this. I had a blast. Hope you guys enjoyed it too. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Good night, everyone.